I once more got into a fairly interesting debate last night. It's actually been going on for the better part of the year. Um, I posted a comment on a video where an individual was referred to as a coon because basically what he did was he pointed out some of the things that are happening amongst the black community, and he pointed out a lot of ways in which various individuals really weren't doing anything to try to help the image of the black community, and if anything, they're actually making the image worse. Um, Now, this is not to say that my rant is going to be solely on the black community. The Hispanic community have their problems. American Indian community have their problems. The Orient community here in the United States have their problems. Um, but I am going to touch primarily on, if not solely on this video, on the black community just because of the comments that were fired back at me. Um, And a lot of what I'm going to say, mind you, is strictly my opinion. So don't think that, you know, I'm saying this is how it is. This is just how I feel. Now, one thing that a lot of what I've encountered over the years with various jobs that I've worked, where I've had to deal with various people of different communities, but particularly with the African American or black community, one thing I've had to deal with is a sense of false entitlement. Now, what do I mean by false entitlement? What I mean by that is people feel that they should be treated special in a particular way because of their ethnic background or because of their race. And I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. It's not so. And again, that is my opinion. If you are an African American person and your great 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 grandfather or grandmother or aunt or whatever was a slave, first off, you have my condolences. And I do mean that in the most honest and sincere way that I possibly can express it. Because it is a very horrible, dark part of our history. And I'm not saying that we should forget that this happened. And by all means, if you want to be angry about it, be angry about it. I'm angry that this was allowed to happen for as long as what it happened, as long as it had gone on for. But I am also happy that we were able to abolish it. Slavery was destroyed here in the continental U.S. at least. Now, do I feel, however, that because of something that happened way back when should give somebody the right to special treatment today in 2015? No, I don't. I really don't. Now, should the people who were directly affected at the time be given a little bit as a means of saying, hey, this is horrible, we're sorry, we can't undo what happened, and we can never make up for what happened. What happened to you was horrible. It should never have happened. But we would like to help being the key word, you and your loved ones. Now, when I say help being the key word, I'm not saying, hey, we should do stuff for you. No, we're going to help you along the way. We're going to give you opportunities. And I'm not going to say a name, but for the individual who came on last night and gave me the comment that I can basically go F off with my equality feelings and thoughts, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Equality does exist here in the U.S. Everybody has the equal right and opportunity to succeed or fail. Now, depending on which one you choose to do is on you. I would hope that people choose to succeed. Now, is that choice going to guarantee success? Of course not. Like I stated on my post, I live paycheck to paycheck and I'm broke the bulk of the time because I'm not making enough money. I'm not at the pinnacle of success. But, do I have any and every opportunity and means to succeed? Of course I do. And I'm trying the best I can to succeed and live a fulfilled life. But am I going to complain about it? Not really. I mean, you might hear me rant a little bit here and there, but I'm not going to say, oh, this is somebody else's fault. Because it's something that happened to, you know, Hispanics way back when. And for those of you other people who have commented on my posts stating, well, I'm just another racist white guy, I'm actually not white, I'm Hispanic. So, I'm going to nicely say, please cut that out. And there's plenty of things that have happened in the Hispanic community. But I'm not going to hold that against anybody. What good is it? It doesn't do any good. I can stir the racial pot until the cows come home, as the old saying goes. And what's it going to do? It's going to continue to create a lot of hate and discontent, which realistically we should be trying to get rid of. Because it's not doing any good. Now, getting back to what I was saying before, with that sense of false entitlement, it's trying to think of the best way to put it, or really express what it is that I want to say without it falling into a lot of question. I guess a good way for me to say it is that it's a lot of how people present and represent themselves. Now, if you take an African American male and he's walking around and he has his pants halfway down his butt, I can clearly see that he's wearing Fruit of the Loom, or he's wearing silky boxers. I'm not going to give that guy a whole lot of respect. And the reason why is because how he is presenting and representing himself to me tells me that he doesn't even have a lot of respect for himself. He doesn't have a lot of self-esteem. And because of that, he's walking around showing his butt to everybody. The guy, he presents himself to me as not being very intelligent because he's incapable of doing the simplest of tasks, that being able to properly and appropriately dress himself to come out in public. Now, you take that same individual and you put him in a decent t-shirt and a good pair of jeans that fit, or let's say they're a little loose, but he has a belt around them, which keeps it up at his waistline and keeps his undergarments covered. I'm not saying I'm going to fall at this guy's feet. I wouldn't do that for anybody, no matter what their race is. But I am going to give that guy a bit more respect, because he's presenting himself as an intelligent person, a respectful person, a decent person. Now, for the individual that told me that, I'm saying, well, then we should just forget our past, because I've said people really need to start getting over this stuff. When I say, hey, you need to get over it and you need to move on, I'm not saying you need to forget about it like it never happened. No. Because the point was made, and I agree with this point 100%. If we forget our past, then it's prone to repeat itself. We've proven on several other things that yes, that does a lot of times tend to be the case. Now, I don't think we're going to repeat, slavery, and if we do, then holy crap, I'm moving out of the U.S. because I want no part of that. But what I am saying is that a teenager, let's say a person 16 years of age, whom has a distant relative or one of their great 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 grandparents was a slave. Again, I'm I'm horrified, and you know I'm sorry that that happened to your family. I'm sorry that's part of your family tree. Again, you have my condolences. I really wish that that dark part of our history and our past, you know, didn't exist. But I'm not going to treat you special or give you special privileges because that happened. And the reason why is because that now has zero effect on what you do or what your opportunities are today. You know, on August 31st, 2015. It's a horrible part of your family's past, but you need to drive on and you need to stop throwing it at everybody, because I'll be honest, if somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, you know, one of my ancestors was a slave," I'm going to look at that person and say, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But what are you trying to say?" "Well, I should get this because, you know, one of my ancestors was a slave." "Well, why should you get this? Why should you today get this when you you weren't even a twinkle in your dad's eye? Your dad wasn't even a twinkle in his dad's eye when this was going on. So why should you be entitled to this? Why don't you live the great American dream and work for it like everybody else does, or like everybody else should have to do?" Our country is built on the belief of the freedom to pursue wealth and happiness. Well, just because you have that freedom and that constitutional right to pursue this, it doesn't mean you're going to succeed. But at the same token, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get a fair shake at it either. Now, you can do things that affect how much of a chance you're going to get. For instance, if you drop out of high school, your odds of living very, very successfully are not that good. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying you're going to have a very hard road. If you graduate high school but you don't go to college, you're still going to have a hard road. I'm not a college graduate. I'm barely making it by in life by the enamel of my teeth. But, you know, I'm doing all right. I could be doing better, but I'm doing okay. But I'm not going to go to somebody and say, because Mexicans, 30, 40 years ago were persecuted for no reason, I should be entitled to this. No. I'm also part American Indian. I'm not going to go up to a white person and say, remember the Trail of Tears? Remember all the forced relocation and the hundreds of thousands of American Indians who died during that forced relocation? I should be entitled to a house. You should give me a house and 10 acres to live on, tax-free. No, I'm not going to do that, because, yes, that happened to my people. It happened to the people that are a part of my culture. But again, it has no relevant impact on me today. It's a false sense of entitlement. And for some of us, if you actually look at this post, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate my guts. You're going to hate everything I say, and you're going to argue everything I say. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And you're going to tell me I'm ignorant. Well, again, that's your opinion, and I'm sorry you feel that way. But if that is the way that you feel, maybe you should take a step back and think about why you feel that way. Because your situation and the situation with various communities, whether it's black, white, Hispanic, Orient, whatever, it's not going to improve unless people take appropriate and socially acceptable steps to improve it. All the stuff that's been going on in Ferguson. The black community saying that they're angry because this happened. Okay, well, how does robbing a store help it? How does that help the situation any? How does flipping a car and destroying police vehicles help? That it's not appropriate means of expression. You're not doing anything to help your cause. If anything, you're taking part of criminal acts, and yes, you should be justly prosecuted for it. I would say the same thing if the situation was reversed and it was a Caucasian who got shot by an African American, and you had a bunch of Caucasians that were robbing liquor stores, robbing convenience stores, flipping cars, destroying police and government equipment and buildings. I would look at every single one of them and say, you guys deserve to rot in jail. Because you're complaining about how your community has such a bad image, but you're doing anything and everything within your power to continue to present that bad image. So I guess that's enough of me talking about this for now, because it's probably beating, at this point here, a dead horse into the ground. I mean, I'm hoping that some people will possibly come across this video and see it and say, the guy's got some points. I'm not saying you got to agree with everything I say, but I'm hoping that you agree with some of it. Let's try to improve things as opposed to just stirring up the hatred, because it's not getting us anywhere.